The roots of UK Garage really was a few DJs in London playing US Garage, sort of New York stuff, Todd Edwards and MK and a few other people, but playing them a bit faster than they're meant to be played. And, you know, it was a Sunday night scene. People would dress up and go down and you know, mingle and have a good time listening to this fast American garage. And then obviously you've got like a load of copycat people that come in and want to, you know, do their own spin on it. And I suppose I was in the first wave of those guys that came in and thought, well, there's too many kicks in that. Let's put 2 instead of 4. Or, you know, let's make it a bit more jungly, or let's use break beats instead of drum machines. So I suppose the main difference is with US and UK garage is we took their formula and the vibe of it, but we put it in a different frame, different shape. LB I met a photo shoot for the Face magazine in '98. And we'd both had one record out. I think he'd had Stone Cold out a few months. He'd created a stir. That's why he was invited to the shoot. And I was just setting up a label up north called Sidewinder. And we were sort of seen as the out of Londoners that were invited to the shoot. So yeah, I've known LB for a long time, Lewis. And Noodles, his partner in Groove Chronicles, he's still a really good friend. The people that brought me into that scene were Jason Kay, Pied Piper from The Click, Mike Roughcut Lloyd. These guys, I wouldn't necessarily rub shoulders with them because I lived in Milton Keynes. So the only way that I had of getting my music to these guys was to basically go down to where they cut their dub plates in London and sit there all day and queue up to make dub plates for myself. And I didn't DJ. So it was a bit, you know, contrived, if you like. It's a good way to see if your record sounds right, though. You know, cutting it on a plate.
Yeah, I was just interested in the relationship you had with Steve Gurley. I know that he, to an extent, mentored you when you were deciding to get into that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And I'm just wondering how that relationship
came about. It was more like
I
stalked him and he tolerated me, to be honest. I was making stuff, really low quality drum and bass, totally inspired by him. My best mate at the time was really good mates with him. So I'd got like the link to go up to his studio and every now and then sit there and didn't do much talking really. He's not a talkative guy, Steve. He'd nod a lot and every now and then he'd give me like a little pearl of wisdom about how I could improve my music. But yeah, it was, you know, all played on really dodgy cassettes and sounded awful. I'm surprised he, you know, let me come back basically. Maybe I used to make him laugh, I don't know. But soon after that, it didn't take many years, we were sort of on a bit of a level, do you know what I mean? Like 98, 99, 2000, I brought him in on a remix that we did for Whitney Houston, Heartbreak Hotel, and that was sort of the first time we'd worked together.
At some point you moved to Manchester.
Yeah.
And after, well, the garage thing wasn't exactly over, maybe it was over for some time.
You missed Forward.
I missed Forward. Yeah, I did. And I know you played Forward, didn't you?
Well, I was the original sort of I helped to set it up, Ammunition and all of that. We worked very closely with them because they ran our labels as well, Sidewinder and Sidestepper. And I suppose I was the first one to be asked to be a resident. It was for 2 or 3 years really kind of just a bit of a beard stroking event, 50 guys in a room, and not, nothing like it is now. Originally, I was playing the dub mixes of garage tracks and playing it like jungle and dropping them in kind of hard without an MC. There were MCs there, but a lot of the time I played without an MC. And I was mixing broken beating with that as well, and some jazzier stuff. Mark Pritchard's was another big influence back then, He did, I remember, probably my most played record back then was a remix called, it was of Azimuth, Carambola, it was called, on Far Out. And it just shone a whole new light on what was achievable with this swingy, breakbeaty sound we call two-step, So then I made Mad Slinky album #1. That went out on Laws of Motion. That was what was exciting them at the time. Just showing something different to Ollie, 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 oi, 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 the garage vibe. Sorry, now we're up to Manchester.
There you go.
Because that's the reason I moved to Manchester, working with DJ Injector.
Okay.
And Genergy. And a guy called Mr. J, who was the third person in Futuristics. Set up a label up there, and we made soul albums for a few years. I'm still sitting on 3 or 4 years, maybe 10 albums worth of recordings.
Wow.
That haven't seen the light of day. Well, even now, like when I go to look for something to listen to inspire me, there's only a handful of producers these days that really do it for me in that way. So I'm still always looking to the past, getting out my Herbie Hancock, my Airto Moreira, my Weldon Irving Jr. Just delving. And I suppose to some extent, I could have ripped it off more than I have.
I loved Subway Baby, for instance, and I didn't actually know that it was this Bombay and was it Horn?
Yeah,
that Swedish record, basically 77, and it's a wonderful
lovely record, right?
Yeah, it's a wonderful record, and it was exactly what you said, where you just sped it up, and it's still. Sort of
there's no big philosophy in that track. Basically, I was on my way on the train from Manchester to go and play in DMZ in London, and I didn't feel that I had enough ammo, and for some reason just done it on the train there and then on A-Button Live. I didn't think anybody would really like it. I was just messing around.
Sometimes it seems the going is just too wrong, and things go wrong no matter what I do. Now and then I feel like life is just too much, but you got the love I need to see me through.
How did you sort of start working with Lo-Fi, and generally, what's your feeling about that label? And
it's my team. It's like they've breathed new life into my career, but not on a financial level. It's more on a creative level that I feel like I've got a platform now where I can experiment like the old days. Obviously, like things have moved on since I started, and I was a young man, no responsibilities. Now I'm a slightly older man with responsibilities, and I've got a 3-year-old boy and a missus, and I go to work every day and I try and earn a living. So to be able to do that and be creative every day, like experiment, I can't describe the difference it is. Like it keeps your fire burning.
hear that Lofa asked you to do something different than you would normally do for him. He wanted to release you doing something unique for him.
Take the swing out, I heard.
Yeah, well, I've gone back to him. That's debatable. I've gone back to him and debated that because there weren't no take the swing out conversation. Probably in his head, he probably thought it. But we talked so much about. I mean, for example, yeah, what he considers to be swing is two-step. I know what he means by that. Yeah, he's like, don't do anything too swingy. And I think like we both realise we've got a bit of a kindred spirit thing going on. And a couple of months later, you know, after a few more chats, it sort of developed into a, well, yeah, you know, why don't you do something? Because I was making a little bit more obvious for the dance floor stuff at the time. The track with Omar, Dancing, I don't know if you know that. More on the UK funky tip, if you wanted to put a name on it. I said, you know, I really want to go in and do a twisted version of what I used to love when I was a kid, basically.
Have you got any other wish lists of people that you want to collaborate with that you've yet to manage to hook up with?
From the past, no. But not to say that I've done my bucket list, it's just I haven't got a very long one. I'm more kind of like a people's person, in that if we can share the same space and have a crack and, you know, we're comfortable with each other, that's halfway to making a record in my eyes, do you know what I mean? And you can't guarantee that when you meet your heroes that you're going to be on that level with them. So I've sort of developed relationships with people local to me and hope for the best, really. But Tawi, further away, I'd say that's probably the best record I've made.
The Manchester scene has certainly been flourishing the last few years. Quite a few interesting projects going on there. Do you see yourself now as part of that and staying there and it's home, like
absolutely,
musically and sort of like
100%. You know, I'm raising a boy in Manchester. He's from Manchester. Our heart's in Manchester. You know, my studio has its roots in Manchester now. One really exciting project I'd like to tell you about, though, I've got round the corner in March. I've got a producer from America called Roy Davis Jr. coming to stay with me. And we're making an EP, and Omar, MBE, as we've now got to call him, he's going to do the vocals for it.
The pressure